Why is my mind chattering, so restless? Have you ever asked yourself this question? Why is your mind so restless and always chattering, going from one thing to another, moving from one distraction to another? Why is your mind chattering? And what can you do about it? Your immediate impulse is to control it. I must not chatter. The controller who says, I must not chatter, is itself part of the chatter. Do you see the beauty of that? Why is the mind chattering? Not staying quiet for a minute. Not being completely free of any problem for a minute. Again, this mental preoccupation is the result of your education, of the social nature of your life. But when you realize that your mind is chattering and face it, fix it, then you will see what happens. You say, all right, chatter. You are aware, which means you're not trying to chatter. You are just aware of this chatter. If you do this, you will see what happens. Your mind becomes lucid, and probably that is the state of a normal, healthy human being. Observe and be still. You can observe a cloud, a tree, or the movement of a river with a fairly quiet mind because they are not very important to you. But observing yourself is much more difficult because there the demands are very practical and the reaction's very quick. So when you are in direct contact with fear or despair, loneliness or jealousy, or any other unpleasant mental state, can you look at it so completely that your mind becomes quiet enough to perceive? When we are aware of ourselves, isn't the whole movement of living a revelation of the I, the ego? The ego is a very complex process that can only be revealed in relationships, in our daily activities, in the way we speak, in the way we judge, calculate, in the way we condemn others and ourselves. Doesn't all this reveal the conditioned state of our own thinking? And isn't it important to be aware of this whole process? If you find it difficult to be aware, then try writing down every thought and feeling that arises throughout the day. Note your reactions of envy, jealousy, vanity, sensuality, the intentions behind your words, and so on. If you write these things down when you can, and at night before sleeping examine everything you wrote during the day, study and examine without judgment, without condemnation, you will begin to discover the hidden causes of your thoughts and feelings, desires, and words. Now, the important thing in this is to study with free intelligence what you have written down, and in studying you will become aware of your own state. In the flame of self-awareness, of self-knowledge, the causes of conflict are discovered and consumed. You should continue noting your thoughts and feelings, intentions and reactions, not once or twice, but for a considerable number of days, until you are able to be aware of them instantly. Meditation is not just constant self-awareness, but constant abandonment of the ego. From right thinking comes meditation, from which comes the tranquility of wisdom, and in that serenity the highest is realized. Writing down what one thinks and feels, desires and reactions, generates an inner awareness, the cooperation of the unconscious with the conscious, and this leads to integration and understanding. One of the most important questions we must ask ourselves is this: how far, to what depth, can the mind penetrate itself? Only the mind that is completely alone can find reality. And there is a reality, not a theoretical reality, not a certain thing invented by organized religions or experienced by a few saints, according to each one's peculiar conditioning, but a reality, an immensity that can only be discovered by the mind that has perceived its own movements and understood itself. What brings peace, true tranquility and serenity of mind, is understanding the total process of ourselves. And that doesn't mean seeking peace, but understanding the I. Self-knowledge does not mean accumulating knowledge about oneself. It means observing oneself. If I learn by accumulating knowledge, I learn nothing about myself. For the understanding of daily life, we need no guru, no authority or instructor. What we need to do is simply observe. Be aware of our actions, thoughts, and motives, and discover if there is any possibility of totally transforming our human tendencies, beliefs, and despairs. To know oneself is wisdom. Not knowing ourselves deeply, fundamentally, is ignorance. And you cannot know yourself if you are not able to look at yourself, to to see yourself exactly as you are, without any distortion, without any desire to change anything, to perceive without condemning, without judging, to observe purely and simply and without choice, to look without condemnation, interpretation, comparison, in that there is great beauty and great clarity in observation. If in this way you observe without choice, then in that awareness there is attention. No entity exists as observer, nor thing observed. There is no observer looking at what is being observed. What you see transforms because the distance between the observer and the thing observed has disappeared. Consequently, there is no conflict. Understanding the I requires a great deal of intelligence, a state of intense vigilance, of alertness, of mental acuity, an incessant observation so that the I cannot slip away. We have to observe what we really are without any kind of escape. And do not name what you see, just observe it. You will then have the passion, the energy necessary to observe. And in that observation, an extraordinary transformation takes place. Self-knowledge springs forth when you observe and understand all your feelings and thoughts, moment by moment, day by day. The totality of this understanding will solve the problems of life.